But yes, I would like to point out, did y'all see where they said that mental illness is higher than heart disease? It's higher than all these other things, which means people are more likely to have a mental illness and not know anything about it. That's a strange place to be in. It's a scary place to be in. That means we're not having those appropriate conversations. We're worried about, oh, did you go to the mall and get those new Jordans, instead of saying, hey, how are you feeling? How many of y'all have checked on your family since the storm? Okay, mostly everybody. Mostly everybody. If you haven't, I suggest it. Things like that, you really need your people. You really need someone to rely on, because we could be in the dark and don't have nobody. And no one likes to be in the dark. I don't like to be in the dark. No one wants to be in the dark, and we shouldn't leave each other in the dark. It's harder to put more good into this world than it is bad. It's so easy to be bad, but it's so much harder to bring positivity, to bring goodness to someone. You want to know why? Because of things like this. We have a stigma that, oh, if I do this, I'm going to be considered crazy. You can't do that anymore. We're in 2024. You're not crazy. You're human. It is okay to not be okay. It is okay. Just like having a balloon, you're scared of blowing air in the balloon. What's going to happen if you keep blowing air in the balloon? It pops. You are no different. You consume so much, you have to let it out. Because if you don't, you're going to pop. It's people who need you here. It's people who are relying on you. It's somebody who needs you to talk to them, and you haven't even crossed them yet. And you don't even know it. You have a bigger purpose that you can't see, that I can't see, that we can't even touch, but it's there. It's deep down in you. But you have to open up, have those difficult conversations, and express yourself. Like she said, be true to yourself. So I have a question. What does success look like to one of y'all? Y'all, I'm hot. What does success look like? Nobody? Yes, ma'am.
I think for me, success should have a better than I had before, because it's a wrong. Like everything kind of affects me really sometimes. So that really does play a part in my daily life. And I've learned, especially at this age, 29, but I've had to grow a lot faster than most people my age. So I always tell people mentally, I'm like 32, 33. In my head, for a long time, as I was growing up, especially a Black person, we love to brag on our age, okay? Because we're like, oh, yes. People tell me I'm like 12. I'm like, girl, you believe I'm 25 or whatever. But something changed when that 27 mark hit. I was like, is this my mental 30? Like, and then that's when things start to set in, and I was like, dang, I got all these life pressures, like, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Especially coming out of the pandemic, because I feel like that changed the world that we live in, especially the social media age. Yeah. A lot of people left their jobs and moved on to do bigger and better things. And now, you can be an influencer and still afford your entire lifestyle. And it's so strange that you see people younger than you doing that, and all that comparison sometimes comes in, and
so proud.
So I had to take that and internalize that and be like, it doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. Am I meeting the goals that I set for myself? Am I doing the things that Tanisha wants to do? And if I'm doing those things, then that's success.
That's success.
I'm not understanding. That's what myself.
And I tell you, social media is really a big thing that it's overtaken a lot, especially our younger generation. And this is why it's very important for those that have kids. Make sure you're talking to your kids. Make sure you're asking them about their feelings. My oldest, who is 16, for her birthday, she wanted to go see Inside Out. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yes. And I did not see Inside Out Part 1, so I was able to see Inside Out Part 2 and love the movie. I probably loved it more than they did, right? But it talked about these emotions, and it talked about your feelings, and it's so good to see these movies where you can openly and honestly talk about those things and not be afraid to keep it away and I can't talk about this. I always, when people say I can't talk about this, I think about Encanto, where they say, I can't talk about Bruno. No. And so sometimes we have that, right? I'm not the best singer, but but let's talk about it. And that's what we want. Let's talk about it. We don't want that. We can't talk about it. So again, that's the only way that we're going to reduce the stigma. That's the only way we're going to keep raising awareness, having these type of conversations, having them with your kids, having them with your grandkids, having them with your friends. And as Trinity mentioned, checking in on family members, checking in on your friends. How many times we see those memes? No one checks on the strong friends, right? Because they're supposed to have it together. Check on the strong people too, because they break. You just don't know they're breaking, but they break too. So check on those people. Strong, not strong, check on people, and again, give people grace. Meet them where they are. Because again, as I mentioned before, we don't know what type of day you've had. We don't know what's going on in your personal life, your work life, your any life, right? So we don't know those things. So definitely give people grace and mercy and check on them. And let's start having more of these conversations. Let's normalize talking about mental health. Let's make that something that we continue doing. And is it Kanisha, right? Well, I just had to comment because for the most part, I agree with you. People don't believe that I am in my 40s, right? Except my kids who think I'm in my 50s. And I'm like, really? My own kids. So I just wanted to make that comment as well. But other than that, well, thank you. I'm going to go home and tell them, and they're going to tell me I'm not telling the truth. So, but again, let's have these conversations. And when you don't have the right words or don't know what to say to someone, sometimes just sitting with them. Sometimes that silence is all a person needs. You just have to know what they need, and if you can't offer them what you think they need, try to guide them to some resources or put them in a direction where they can go to and get the resources or help that they do need.